Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the Devil's Advocate. I talk movies, TV, politics, music, video games, whatever I want on this channel. Today we're breaking down the next three episodes of Andor. Full spoilers for episodes 4, 5, and 6 if you haven't seen them. I gotta say, these three felt kind of like a lull. Maybe it's quiet before the storm, but I got the vibes of the episode in season one where it was like a standalone episode where Andor returned to Ferrix and like saw his mom again and saw Bix because not a lot happened. Although, again, it's the quiet before the storm, I think, of the Ghorman massacre that we've heard about in Rebels, I believe. So really, there's a couple storylines here that I'll go through quick. Syril and Dedra. Syril is now on. This is 1 year later from the last three, because each batch of three episodes is another year closer to A New Hope and Rogue One. So Syril and Dedra. Syril is now on the planet Ghorman. He's running like a corporate office there. He's very happy that he's in charge of something, and he's talking to his mom over the phone in his office, and his mom is clearly absorbing the propaganda that the Imperials have been putting out about the planet because she's constantly worried about him, thinking he's in danger, that these people are stuck up and there's going to be an attack and stuff. And little does he know that this was all planned. It's very interesting to see how the Ghormans are reacting, how Mothma is trying to whip votes for a kind of like protection order against the Ghormans, or at least to show that the Ghormans have humanity. She's trying to get a bill passed, and even the Ghorman senator won't vote for it because he understands that there's this pressure campaign against Ghorman, doesn't understand why, but knows that if he votes for something that flies in the face of what the Emperor wants, he's in trouble, and so is his people. And he's been telling his people, do not do anything to piss off the Empire. Now, the Empire is clearly pissing them off on purpose by building a giant facility that overshadows the town, like the main town, which very similar to Paris. They all have like Parisian accents. Their language sounds like it's French a little bit, or French inspired. And they have a lot of cafes and stuff. So this is clearly we're doing World War II France here, which is very cool. I also wanted to point out that the Ghormans have like hand gestures that are very cultural towards them. Like they do this to say like goodbye, or have a nice day or something. We also see Andor and Bix kind of do not a dance, but like they're about to be intimate and they're doing like a very specific hand motion, just showing these little touches of culture that we rarely get to see in Star Wars. I love how even like different human planets have their own culture. We've seen that in the first batch of episodes with Mon Mothma's the wedding at her estate with her daughter, and those cultural traditions. And we're seeing that the Ghormans have very strong cultural ties as well, with the web weaving spiders and how it's incorporated into their architecture, and also their language and the hand gestures. We know that this is a middle finger now at the town hall. It's just very cool to see so much culture put into Star Wars in such a subtle way, such a geniusly subtle way. But they're building this Imperial facility that's overshadowing this memorial for when apparently Grand Moff Tarkin wanted to land like 18 years ago, wanted to land his cruiser, and the Ghorman people were protesting by trying to block it by, if there's enough of us, he can't land. And Tarkin was like, you think so? And just landed on the protesters. So they have a memorial to that massacre, and it's very fresh in everyone's minds. That's why they don't like the Empire, and they've kind of been resisting them. So they're building this facility, clearly pissing them off. Dedra's plan, remember, is to incite the rebels there to attack the Imperials. I thought maybe they were trying to get like a rebel cell there that are Imperial aligned to try and turn the planet, but it's much easier to just do a false flag. They're getting a band of rebels. That is Syril's job, is to make contact or to be contacted by the rebel cell there. But what he thinks is just, we're going to arrest them. Dedra knows that they're going to use this to put even more pressure on the Ghorman planet, take over maybe, and try to forcibly remove people, force displacement, or mass execution. So that's what's happening there. And by the end of the 3 episodes, they do try to pull off an attack. Now, Andor is sent by Luthen to kind of assess what's going on there, if these people are ready to really join the rebellion. Andor says no, they're not. They're kind of clumsy. Their big idea is to steal an Imperial transport and show everybody that it's really weapons. And it's like, people already know that they're building an armory. What is this going to do? You're just going to let everyone know that you did a crime, and it's just going to piss off the Empire. And so Andor is not part of it, but Luthen still wants it to play out because he pretty much states he's willing to sacrifice the whole planet. He's like, look, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then the planet will burn brighter than any other. Saying, like, if they are massacred, then people are going to know about it because they're a famous planet. Which shows the level that Luthen's at, where he is willing to sacrifice kind of anybody and everything. And Andor is not there yet. He wants Andor to start thinking like a leader, is where he's... And Andor is like, I ain't with that, dude. I ain't with that. So, meanwhile, Bix, like Andor and Bix are living on Coruscant in one of Luthen's safe houses. And they're going on missions. Bix is still having nightmares of the torturer and also apparently a soldier that Andor killed because he saw Bix's face. Now, he's definitely being overprotective of Bix. Bix is like, I want to get out there and do more missions. But also, I don't want you killing people just because they see my face. I could protect myself and everything. And clearly, this is Andor trying to overcompensate for not showing up in time on the farm planet and what happened to her last week. So when Andor has to go on this mission alone, she's back at home just kind of doing drugs. Like... out of this little blue, like, eyedropper thing. And Luthen even shows up to give her her own mission, but then realizes that she's kind of strung out and needs to rest. So he refuses. Actually, he's like, you know what? I was going to ask you for something, but I think you need to rest. When Andor returns, like, Luthen picks him up from Ghorman and drops him off at home. She tells him that he stopped by and offered her that, and he's furious, being like, he knows you need to rest. What is this? He's going behind both of our backs. He could have told me when we're flying back here what's going on. So he shows up to the art gallery, and Luthen's like, this is a big mistake. You were disappointing me right now. And he's kind of giving him a piece of his mind, like, hey man, we've been going on missions. Bix is not okay. Why would you go offer her a mission? Like, we're out. And also Vel, Mon Mothma's cousin, is kind of getting close to wanting to be out. The girlfriend, Cinta, who we saw last week pick up Tay to go murder him, she also has been like, I've gone on a lot of missions this past year. I actually had a really close call. I told Luthen not to tell you. Cinta and Vel meet up on Ghorman, because when Andor returns, Luthen's like, all right, I'll send Vel and Cinta there then, because I want this thing to still play out, the Ghorman Liberation Front's plan. So he sends them, and they're talking to each other and realizing, like, we might be out after this. We might leave. So I feel like Luthen is maybe realizing that when he has an asset being a person who is getting shaky or might want more or might want to leave and abandon the cause, that he might put them on more riskier missions because now he doesn't care if you live or die. And what happens on the Ghorman mission is that Cinta is shot by one of the liberation fighters. Like it's a little scuffle mistake. It's an accident that the blaster even went off. And now Cinta's dead. And she gives this beautiful eulogy in like the transport as they're leaving with the Ghorman Liberation Front. And the dude who shot is crying, and she's like, stop crying. She was a warrior. She has done things that you will never do. She is the person you daydream about being. And for her to die because of you sniveling idiocy is a tragedy that you will never understand. And it's a, look, Disney did the thing, right? Kill your gays. You can't have the gay people being happy and going off into the sunset together. It has to be tragic. That is an old trope. But I think it's done well here in this show because we're still seeing the realities of war. Like someone who has done very dangerous missions for multiple years still can die to the dumbest thing. And just like last week when we saw Brasso shot down, like even stormtroopers can get one shot off that hits. But, you know, it happens and we lose people and it's sad. So while I'm still upset that we don't have the lesbians going off together in the sunset, I do understand why it happened, and that it's not totally like we just don't want gay people here in the show, because they do have a kissing scene, and clearly like it is integral to the story. It's not something that Disney can just snip out for international audiences, like in Rise of Skywalker. We also have. So yeah, the Ghormans are basically the French, and we're doing like the French resistance here. Andor shows up as a spy to assess if they're ready, and then he finds that they're not. But I will say at the end of these 3 episodes, Luthen kind of reinforces Andor and Bix's faith in him, because he gives them another mission, and the mission is to go assassinate the torturer that Bix is still having nightmares about, because the Empire is trying to expand that torture policy more broadly into the military. So he shows up to the ISB headquarters like with his like I don't know, a little like flower thing, or like a little, you know, bauble for the office, because this is where he's going to be for a while. And Bix is waiting for him and straps him to the chair, puts that device on his head, and just leaves him there as he's being tortured. And it's very satisfying. And then as they're leaving, they blow up the building. We've seen the shot in the trailer. It is very satisfying. And I'm like, okay, good. Luthen gave them a mission together, so she's not alone in the apartment, and a mission that is personally will help her maybe find some closure. There's so many good little moments, but I can't go into all of them or I'll be here for hours. There's one with Luthen and Bix when he comes to check on her, and she kind of asks, like, is it always like this? Like, years of looking over your shoulder? And Luthen's like, I don't even remember a time before this. Like, it's always looking over your shoulder. You find peace in it sometimes. You find good moments. But yeah, it is all like this. Now, Luthen and his assistant, Kayla, I think, their storyline here is they have to go to the scumbag money guy that Mon Mothma uses to launder her money. They put a listening device in one of his art pieces, and he just demanded that all the art pieces go back for reappraisal because one of them was found to be fake, and he doesn't want to look like a schmuck in front of his Imperial friends. So they're worried, oh no, when all these things get reappraised, they're going to find the listening device. We got to go take it out when he has this like gala. So they go to the gala and they're walking around. They see Lonnie. Lonnie has gotten a couple scenes in these 3 episodes. He is the Imperial spy in the ISB who reports to Luthen, where Luthen gave that great speech last season. Kayla uses Lonnie to help her. Like, they're literally all in the art room, in the gallery. Art room. They're all in the gallery, and they're going around. Director Krennic's there. And they're going around, like Luthen and Krennic and Mon Mothma and I can't remember this guy's name, Scummy Guy, are going around looking at the art pieces. Kayla is over at the one that has the listening device with Lonnie and is like, hey, just move to the left a little bit so they can't see what I'm doing. And he's like, why are you grabbing me? What if I wasn't here? And she says, I would have done anything else. But you're here, so I'm using you. Do what I say. And she's like trying to twist this thing on the bottom of the art piece and gripping it so tight she's bleeding. It's a very tense scene, and it's intercut with the Ghormans trying to steal the transport, seeing 2 different sides of tense, and I really like that. So she gets the listening device out, and as they're leaving, her and Luthen are joking. Luthen's like, we should have killed Krennic when we were up there. And, they're getting their joy where they can. In a very tense moment, in a very crowded area, they got away with the thing. So, good for them. And maybe hope is starting to reignite. But something that's common between Luthen and the Imperials is that there's too much. They're getting too much chatter. And she's got her listening device, Kayla, and I really like how the actress, seems to know exactly how that device works, much like Han Solo in the original movies. Like, Harrison Ford just made it up, like how the sequence of buttons works on the Millennium Falcon. It feels like this actress spent time with this prop and knows how it works herself. So it's not just, a lot of her scenes are her standing around listening. So give her something to do with her hands, and I like that. I like this device. It's a nice detail. So Syril and Dedra. Syril is like meeting these Ghorman Liberation Front people. He's being brought in. They're voicing their concerns. He's kind of hearing them. I'm wondering, is he gonna turn? Is he gonna turn on the Empire? Because he's kind of got an appreciation for the culture a little bit. He also keeps telling his mother, like, you don't have to worry about this planet. Like, you're watching too much Fox News. Like, they're not a threat to the Empire. I don't know why you keep saying this. And he really thinks, like, his mission is to... But he's still talking to Meero, Dedra. And I thought that... I think, maybe, this is my prediction, that when the Empire really does crack down on this planet and massacres everybody and maybe blows up the planet by mining it, maybe then Syril will shake and go, oh, maybe I'm not the good guy. Maybe I've been working for the bad guys. I don't know. We'll see. Dedra is kind of pissed off that she's not on the Axis case anymore. Her subordinate is now the head of the Axis case. He's kind of an idiot, so she's pissed and kind of wants him to report to her still. And then we also get a scene where Syril gets to come home for a visit and they bang. She just says, turn out the lights. There's a kiss, a very awkward, weird kiss they do. And she tells him to turn off. It's a very weird scene. They are 2 weird people. They are together. They deserve each other. Oh my God. And that's kind of it. Mon Mothma, again, is trying to whip votes for this Ghorman project. And we keep getting hints of, like, the senators do not want to defy the emperor because he's scary. And all of these orders going into effect just make it seem like there is no way you can resist. And that's kind of it for these 3 episodes. It was pretty, again, it felt like a calmer week. Maybe things will gear up next week and the following for the finale. I wish, like my fiance, that we were getting one episode a week because they're very dense, and especially this week it was kind of boring, and sitting through all three of them is kind of frustrating. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. What was your favorite storyline? What was your favorite scene? Did you cheer like I did when Bix finally got to kill that evil fucking doctor, Gorst? Were you holding your head like, no, 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 don't rob this transport, stupid Ghormans? And you see where they're coming from, because they're like, we can't wait. Like, I know Luthen wants patience, but we can't wait. They're actively taking over our planet now. We have to act. And again, it's just interesting seeing how a year ago the Imperials already decided what's going to happen to this planet. It's just taking a year for people to really start feeling it. They're trying to figure out what's going on, what the overall mission is. I wonder if Syril and Dedra are going to butt heads when the full plan is realized. Because Dedra's boss also tells her, don't let Syril know what we're really doing. And she's like, oh, I'm highly aware of that. I like Syril getting a moment with her boss and to try and like prove himself and climb the ladder. And he even says to her, like, if I told you this was the best day of my life, would that spoil it? And she's like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. The dynamic is just hilarious. But we are starting to see cracks in Syril's faith, I think, when the Imperials come and like kick everybody out of his office and override his authority. Don't tell him what they're doing. They're looking for listening devices, and they find one in his office. And he's like, I don't even know, like, who put it there? Did I put it? Like, what is going on? Or it could just be an act in front of the Ghormans. I'm not sure. I'm reserving the right to be wrong if Syril will turn or not. But I like these 3 episodes. There's some good stuff in there, especially like Andor and Bix. It is, again, it feels like Andor is kind of taking a back seat in his own show for these first 2 arcs. But in this arc specifically, it really shows how 2 people in a revolution who still want to have like a normal life. Like, they want to make dinner. They want to go out to the park. They want to do these things, but they're constantly worried about cameras and people recognizing them, and, you know, they're wanted. So that was an important story to tell. I almost forgot because it was so inconsequential, but Willman is now with Saw Gerrera, and it seems like Luthen kind of lent him to Saw to teach them how to make bombs, or at least teach one person how to make bombs. And it's almost like Luthen's like, yeah, you're going to go with Saw. If Saw kills you, no big loss. If not, good, we get you back and you can make more bombs for us. The way we just see more clearly how Luthen uses people like chess pieces. I mean, even Vel and Cinta say to each other, like, we're more valuable to Luthen when we're separated because we could be doing different missions. If we're together, he's kind of wasting resources. And they're like, well, we're going to have to talk to him about that. Willman is with Saw. They're talking a lot about this, like, fuel, the bomb fuel. I think they're going to, like, break a pipeline of it. And Saw goes on this whole crazy speech about how he was in a work camp. And, you know, they were exposed to this gas and it burns you. And everybody knew to run, but it was my first time, so I didn't know. And maybe that's why he's wearing the suit, because that's what's keeping him alive. I don't know. But basically what happens is Willman takes off his like protective mask while they're doing the job and inhales and gets high and is like getting further radicalized. Because Saw Gerrera is basically the Osama bin Laden of the rebellion. And so now this character, Willman, is radicalized to be where Saw is at. And maybe stay with his group and not want to go back. But that's really it of what happened this week. I hope you stick around for next week. And And let me know in the comments about what you think is going on in this show. If you're liking it, if you're not liking it. There's been a lot of discourse about the SA scene last week, and I still say, oh my god, it's amazing scene. It definitely belongs in Star Wars. Like, of course, this is what fascists do. This is what cops do. Like, anyways, have a nice day, and we'll catch you next time.